What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news update video, and we will talk about Ryan Gravenbech and Cheick Doucouré and all the other latest Liverpool transfer news, so strap in because this is a great episode because we have a lot of brand new information, including what James Pearce said about Liverpool's transfer plans. But the first big news coming from the Netherlands is that Liverpool were the first team that showed interest in Ryan Gravenbech when he was still at Ajax, and he hasn't forgotten about that. So Ryan Gravenbech is open to a move to the Premier League, and Liverpool are in talks with Bayern Munich over a potential deal for Gravenbech, because Gravenbech doesn't play for Bayern Munich. He's like their 4th or 5th choice defensive midfielder, so he wants to leave. He doesn't want to sit on the bench, and Liverpool are one of the favorites to sign him should Bayern give the green light to leave the club. At the moment at Bayern there is a tussle between Thomas Tuchel, some of the Bayern chief executives and board members on whether the club should sell Ryan Gravenbech or not. It's not a good look for Bayern if a young player like Gravenbech, who is a huge talent, just sits on the bench and only comes on as a substitute and hardly ever plays, because then Bayern Munich won't be able to sign a lot of young talent in the future if they are not given proper playing time. And Jurgen Klopp are still looking for further midfield additions. Cheick Doucouré is still on Liverpool's radar as well. That's what Simon Jones is reporting for the Daily Mail. And Liverpool held productive talks with Bayern Munich over Ryan Gravenbech, according to Simon Jones. Gravenbech is of course open to leaving Bayern. He wants to leave. He wants to play for a club where he gets a lot more playing time than what he's getting at Bayern, which is pretty much close to zero at the moment. And yes, Gravenbech played 33 times for Bayern last season, but only 6 starts. For a hugely talented 20-year-old player to only start 6 games in the whole season is incredibly low, incredibly poor. So no wonder, no surprise that Gravenbech wants out, he wants to leave. And the Dutch newspaper The Telegraph is reporting that Liverpool are in talks with Ryan Gravenbech's management, which is great news. He is very, very good technically. He has a very high ceiling and he can play anywhere in midfield, not just as a defensive midfielder but as a box-to-box midfielder, and he's better than any of our backup players, so he would instantly strengthen Liverpool. He's better than Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Bajcetic. So if Liverpool could get a good deal, which I think for 30 million plus maybe a sell-on clause inserted to his contract for Bayern Munich, that would be a great deal for Liverpool. It's a no-brainer. He can easily slot in as a ball-carrying box-to-box midfielder, or he can play as a defensive midfielder. His main attribute is not like the main powerhouse defensive midfielder that maybe Liverpool were looking for before signing Endo, but Endo could be our primary defensive midfielder and Gravenbech could play alongside him as the player who is advancing a little bit more with the ball. He's very good on the return, under pressure he's great, and he has a great range of passing. James Pearce also recently revealed that Liverpool, and I would take him as a source with a pinch of salt because he got many things wrong in the past and he doesn't really get exclusive information anymore from Liverpool FC, but his opinion is still worth sharing, and he said that Liverpool at the moment are not looking to buy another out-and-out defensive midfielder, a number 6 specialist if you like. Liverpool are looking for a more versatile midfielder, and Gravenbech would fit this mold. And I think it's more about pragmatism. We could play Endo as our starting number 6. We could also deploy Bajcetic as his backup. Plus we have Thiago, Curtis Jones, McAllister, who can all play this holding midfield role. And we could sign Gravenbech on top of Endo and just deploy him in a more of a box-to-box midfield role. And if the midfielder options are not much better than what Endo offers right now, and Endo has a lot of experience in a top 5 league. He played like 3 or 4 seasons for Stuttgart and he's a regular there, and he's a very, very good player, one of the best defensive midfielders in the Bundesliga. So it makes sense to play Endo as our starting defensive midfielder, because if there are the options on the transfer market right now are not much better than what Endo offers. Caicedo would have been better, Lavia would have been better, but they are way overpriced. Did you see Caicedo's debut? It was an absolute disaster for Chelsea. He gave away a penalty, he misplaced so many passes, and also Chelsea lost 3-1 against 10-man West Ham. I was laughing when I watched the game. It was absolutely hilarious. Chelsea even missed a penalty, and Chelsea, with a £1 billion spent in the past 3 transfer windows, still losing to West Ham is absolutely hilarious, and they are still a sinking ship. They have won 1 Premier League game in the past 14 game weeks in the Premier League, which is relegation form. With £1 billion spent, Chelsea are an absolute joke, a laughing stock. For Liverpool, maybe there is no point spending 70 or 80 million pounds when that money gets you a slightly better player than Endo. Yes, Doucouré would be great, but is he really worth 70 million pounds? He's 23 years old. Maybe Liverpool want to mold Bajcetic into a long-term replacement for Fabinho, and in that time we could play Endo as our starting defensive midfielder. But if we sign another midfielder who is more of a box-to-box midfielder and who is also a big talent, I would be fine with this arrangement as well. Bajcetic has the potential to be first choice. Maybe not this season, but in the next 2 or 3 years, definitely. This signing gives us a chance to have a proper look at him before making a long-term decision. And I know a lot of you guys got excited about Doucouré and other players like Caicedo and Lavia, me included. The main issue with them is that they might not be very good right now, and the figures being thrown around for Doucouré are crazy. I mean, 70-80 million pounds for a player who also had 1 season in the Premier League, like Lavia, and Caicedo had 1.5, maybe 2 seasons in the Premier League. These prices are absolutely crazy when you can pick out one of the best defensive midfielders of the Bundesliga for just 16 million pounds. Liverpool only should spend 60-70 million pounds on players who are truly exceptional, like Dominic Szoboszlai, who is worth easily 70-80 million pounds. Liverpool got him for 60, and he could turn out to be an absolute bargain even at that price. The problem is Liverpool are probably not 100% convinced that Doucouré is the long-term Fabinho replacement, and when you are not 100% convinced on that, then you don't spend 70 million on that player. So if Liverpool aren't convinced that the right players are available, or that the players who are available are too expensive, they usually wait. And since Liverpool signed Endo and have Bajcetic as 2 destroyers in the squad, I get the logic, the idea behind this transfer strategy, that we can deploy Thiago and McAllister occasionally as ball-playing controllers, ball-playing deep-lying playmakers in the number 6 role. And Liverpool, of course, are still scouting the market for a truly world-class defensive midfielder. We might get Andre in the January transfer window. If we sign Gravenbech right now and Andre in January, I think our midfield options will be absolutely fantastic going forward. So probably signing Gravenbech plus a left-sided centre-back for a combined 70-80 million pounds is a better use of resources than just signing 70 million pound Doucouré and not signing a centre-back, because Liverpool might be short in defense in this coming season. We absolutely need a centre-back as well as a midfielder, in my opinion, on top of signing Endo from Stuttgart. But it's also worth noting, we should only buy Gravenbech if he's really desperate and he really wants to join Liverpool. If he's not desperate to join Liverpool, if he doesn't want to play for the badge, then we shouldn't sign him. We should go for a player who is absolutely desperate to join Liverpool and who is Liverpool's is their first choice. Those are the kind of players that we want, who are fighting for the shirt week in, week out. And I think for 30 million, Gravenbech is definitely worth a try, because if Jurgen Klopp can unlock his potential, if he can develop him into a world-class player, then we could have another absolute bargain of a signing on our team. Like Curtis Jones didn't cost anything, Harvey Elliott cost absolute peanuts, just a couple of million. They are turning into very, very good players. Florian Plattenberg, a German journalist, is also reporting that Ryan Gravenberch wants to play regularly, but at the moment he is 4th choice in the Bayern Munich midfield ranking under Tuchel. Florian Plettenberg understands that Liverpool are favourites for the player should Bayern give the green light to leave, but no verbal agreements yet with either Bayern Munich or the player. Man United are also interested in Gravenbech, so Liverpool have to be very careful not to miss out on him if we really want him, and I think we do. But we have to also underline, Gravenbech won't be a regular starter right away at Liverpool, but he will play a lot more. We have Europa League, and there Ryan Gravenberch can start regularly in the League Cup, he can start regularly in the FA Cup, as well as in some Premier League games. So there is a lot higher chance that Gravenbech plays a lot more and starts a lot more than just 6 games. And then he's just 21 years old. The sky is the limit for him under Jurgen Klopp. And I mean, Jurgen Klopp must really want Gravenbech. If these links are not going away, I mean, they have been persisting for months that Liverpool are interested in Ryan Gravenbech, so there must be something behind this. Probably Jurgen Klopp is a big fan of Gravenbech. And James Pearce is calling signing Endo as Liverpool's main defensive midfielder a left field solution to a major problem. He's asking, can Endo give Liverpool what they need as a defensive shield? What's clear is that he has been brought in to start games rather than simply provide squad depth. The club is still in the market for another centre midfielder, but not another specialist number 6. So could Endo really be as our main starting defensive midfielder? Maybe, but he needs backup, and Bajcetic could cover that, plus McAllister and Thiago. It's also important to note that Liverpool appealed the red card that McAllister got. There is still a 50-50 chance whether it gets overturned or not, because the FA is just an incompetent bunch of losers of an organization. I don't expect them to overturn the most ridiculous red card that I have seen in many years. And there is literally nobody apart from Mike Dean, who was one of the most shocking, one of the worst Premier League referees in the history of the Premier League. He's the only person who said that the red card should stand. Everybody else said it's not a red card. But I don't hold my breath. The FA are an incompetent bunch of morons, as I said. So McAllister could seriously miss 3 games, and if the denial of the appeal adds another game, it could be 4 games. He could be back in a month's time in the Premier League. That is ridiculous. He would miss games against Newcastle, Aston Villa and Wolves, and he would be back for the West Ham game. And those are really tough games. I still think Liverpool need another defensive midfielder, or at least a player who can play in that position, because basing your whole season on Endo is really a big risk, especially because in Stuttgart Endo was playing alongside an even more defensive-minded number 6, a more defensive-minded player who was a destroyer. Ahamada, I think, who was his name. He was the destroyer. He got most of the tackles, and Endo was playing sometimes as a box-to-box midfielder. So as a lone defensive midfielder, Endo doesn't work in a very physical, very high-intensity Premier League. He needs more help. And also, what if Endo gets injured? Then we have to play Bajcetic for that time. It's going to be really tricky. But hopefully these rumors that James Pearce is saying is just Liverpool trying to play down our links to other defensive midfielders. Because remember, James Pearce is the club mouthpiece. He's the mouthpiece of Liverpool FC. So that could be easily Liverpool saying that the club we are negotiating with is asking too much for a defensive midfielder, and this is how we are retaliating, threatening them that we will pull out of the negotiating. So it is going to be a fascinating last 10 days of the transfer window, and I really hope that Liverpool sign a defensive midfielder, because we desperately need it, in my opinion. Endo also said that he thought Moises Caicedo actually joined Liverpool when we had the bid accepted, and when he heard that Caicedo in the end is going to Chelsea, that's when he realized, oh, there may be a chance that I could join Liverpool. So when Caicedo went to Chelsea, Endo said, I just thought maybe there's a chance. I thought maybe Liverpool needed experienced midfielders or something like that, because Henderson had moved, also Fabinho had moved to another club. So I thought there may be a chance. And when I heard that Liverpool wanted me, it was so quick, I had to decide so quickly. But actually I couldn't say no, because my dream was to play in the Premier League. I always said to my agent that I wanted to play Premier League, to play for a top team. So here I am. My agent called me, and yes, it was a yes straight away that I wanted to come here. I decided immediately, and it was so quick that there weren't even any Japanese journalists who could get to Liverpool to ask questions to Endo, which is really funny. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Goodbye.